Good morning, everyone. We're going to get underway.
Okay, good morning.
Calling to order the RTA Organizational Service and Performance Monitoring Committee at 9:01. Roll call, please.
Mayor Biassiata,
Here.
Ms. Welch,
Here.
Ms. McPherson,
Here.
Ms. Pachetti,
Here.
and Mr. Sleesman.
Here.
We have 5 committee members present. You have a quorum.
This morning, we're going to have 2 agenda items. Both are RFPs for procurement. The first is for a negotiated revenue generating agreement, and our second is for procurement for a consultant to develop a specification and support the future purchase of our ticket vending machines. So first up will be our competitive negotiated revenue generating procurement. And our presenters today will be Sherry Lewis and Dawn Sankara. Floor is yours.
All right. Good morning, Committee Chair Biassiata, committee members, and members of the board. My name is Shari Lewis, Manager of Support Services, and I will be presenting on vending services along with Dawn Sankara of Procurement. The vending services contract ensures convenient access to snacks for employees across GCRTA locations, generating revenue that supports various employee activities and enhances engagement. The Support Services Department manages and oversees the vending services contract for all internal district locations, including the main office, Hayden, Triscuit, Paratransit, Central Bus Maintenance Facility, Rail, and Woodhill. There are a total of 43 vending machines that are distributed across the district locations, and the machines are placed in secure employee-only areas within each district, except for the first floor of the main office building. The vending machines provide convenient access to snacks, beverages, coffee, small meals, and healthy alternatives for over 2,000 employees. Revenue generated from the vending machines is pooled into funds allocated for employee activities, organized by each district's council group, which thus supports morale and engagement. GCRTA is seeking a new revenue-generating vending contract with a commission guarantee, including healthy food options, beverages, condiments, paper products, flatware, and napkins.
Good morning. I'm Dawn Sankara, and I'm going to present the procurement overview. The RFP was issued on April 21st, 2024. Proposals were due May 22nd, 2024. 15 parties accessed the RFP on GCRT's website. The 3 proposals were received. The evaluation panel members consisted of service management, accounting, labor and employee relations, support services, power and way district, and procurement. The evaluation criteria consisted of the services that are offered, commission percentage and expected revenue, vendor experience and reputation, variety of food and beverages, and healthy food initiatives, the delivery plan for each district location. The recommended vendor is Stephen J. Hall, doing business as Firelands Vending. They're in Sandusky, Ohio, and there was a 0% DBE goal due to the lack of subcontractors. The financial breakdown, the commission was 19% on non-perishable items. The guaranteed annual revenue is $72,000. The guaranteed monthly payment is $6,000. 3-year total revenue is $216,000, and the 5-year total would be $360,000. Firelands Vending was established in 1994 with over 30 years of experience in the vending industry. They have state-of-the-art equipment. Their vending machines have features like cashless payment options. They have a proven track record of handling large multi-location accounts in both public and private sectors. The client portfolio consists of the Toledo Area Regional Transit Authority, Bowling Green State University, University of Findlay, Cleveland Clinic, ProMedica Hospital Systems, Ohio Veterans Homes, Lucas County Government, and GCRTA. Staff requests that the Organizational and Services and Performance Monitor Committee recommend to the Board of Trustees an award of Stephen J. Hall, DBA Firelands Vending, to provide vending services to the authority for a period of 3 years with 2 one-year options. Questions?
Yes, thank you. It's a flow-through, so it's a commission. There's no overhead expense to
Correct.
RTA. And the 19% commission on this contract, how does that compare to the current contract that's in place?
It's the same. Hasn't
So,
changed.
okay. Any questions from the committee on this contract? Wonderful. I move to advance this procurement request. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. We're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is to develop a specification and support the future purchase of ticket vending machines. And our presenters today are Jonathan Sesla and Sean Becker. Jonathan, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Chairperson Biassiata, committee members, members of the board, RTA staff, and the public. Helpful if I advance the slides, huh? All right. My name is Jonathan Cecil, and I'm the Project Resource Manager in the Management Information Services Department. I'm presenting on the competitive negotiated procurement for a consultant to develop the specifications for ticket vending machines, or our TVMs. The authority established clear direction through Board of Trustees Codebook, the 2020 Strategic Plan, and the Fair Equity Study in 2019, that fair payments need to be innovative and improve how customers pay. Our fair ecosystem is a network of policies and procedures, hardware, and software. This procurement takes an important step forward in developing the specifications to update our TVMs. I know that you may be thinking, why wouldn't we buy the machines? Is a consultant necessary? Well, we have knowledgeable and capable staff that deal daily with the fair ecosystem, including electronic repair, revenue, and my department, MIS. The last specification development occurred in 2002, leading to the purchase of our current machines in 2007. RTA learned a lot from that process, including the need for third-party risk reduction through subject matter expertise involvement and current understanding of the fair collection industry and market. We pursued a contract with 3 pieces to the scope of work: a base contract to develop the technical specifications and related assurance documentation, such as the technical and functional specifications for the traceability matrix, and 2 other options as we go out to procure the machines themselves. One will provide subject matter expertise during the purchase. Option 2 is assistance during receipt and installation.
Thanks, Jonathan. Good morning, Mayor Biassiata, committee members, and members of the board. My name is Sean Becker. I'm a program contract manager in the Office of Procurement, and I was responsible for administering this solicitation. So the RFP was issued on May 26, 2024. It was accessed on the GCRTA website by 19 interested parties. Proposals were due on July 8th, and 5 firms proposed. So our evaluation panel consisted of members from Management Information Services, Electronic Repair, Fleet Management, Information Technology, Revenue Collection, and Procurement. And those proposals were graded on the following criteria: the proposed staff ability, past performance, the pricing and cost effectiveness, and their project approach. And the recommended firm is WSP USA, Inc. They are an international leader in planning, design, and construction of automated fare collection services systems. They have broad transit experience, including management and engineering experience in fare collection equipment and systems, and they have an understanding of Cleveland, including GCRTA system. Some of the people that WSP has worked with, the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority, Chicago Transit Authority, Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, New York Metropolitan Transportation Authority, Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, Pittsburgh Regional Transit, Maryland Transit Authority, Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority, among many others. And our recommendation, staff requests that the Organizational Services and Performance Monitoring Committee recommend to the Board of Trustees the award for ticket vending machine consultant services to WSP USA Inc. in an amount not to exceed $173,716.94 for the base contract, and an amount not to exceed $88,085.66 for option 1, and in an amount not to exceed $117,970.09 for option 2, for a total contract not to exceed $379,772.69. And at this time, we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
What's the timetable for the development of these specifications?
It's about a 6.5-month process that's proposed.
So next spring, we'd be then acting upon these recommendations to get new machines?
Yeah, that would be probably a guesstimate.
And what's the age of our current machines? We're spending almost $400,000 on a consultant. So I don't like articulate the need.
17 years old.
Gotcha. Any questions from the committee?
Will the future machines have smartphone purchasing capabilities?
So this is the specification development. So that's one of the items that would be discussed, is to make sure like open payment, smartphones, tapping, that kind of stuff, how it can receive it, as well as the cards itself that it would vend. So both of those would have to be developed during this, so that when we go out to bid for the machines themselves, we would include that to make sure.
Further questions, anyone?
And just for clarity, are we planning to do a wide sweep of our older machines and then replacing them with these, or is it going to be like a gradual decline of getting rid of our old machines and then mixing in these little bit at a time, the new machines?
The best approach that we could do was, once we develop the specifications and get an idea of the per machine cost, currently revenue collection and electronic repair have already looked at what if we did a sweeping, and let's say they were $26,000 a piece. Not as feasible phase, but depending on how the specifications lay out, we would want to know, do we phase it? Do we pilot it in some areas, et cetera? Because we also need to make sure that accessibility and equity for access to machines is occurring too, if we do a phased approach.
Thank you for mentioning that, because that was going to be my next question about equity around where those would be phased out to. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Love?
Thank you, and good morning. I think two questions. One, just wanted to get a little bit more clarification on, I see the base contract amount, but then the, an amount not to exceed for option 1 and an amount not to exceed for option 2. Just some clarification on what we're referring to there. And then the second question was the actual scope of work, outlined in the specification. Does that outline some of the criteria that you were just referring to in terms of, how is the agency prioritizing when we're thinking about the specifications, equity, access, or is that going to be shaped with the consultant in the process once you engage them? Thank you.
Yeah, I can kind of clarify the different phases, the base contract. So the base contract, prior to going out for solicitation for an actual vendor to provide the TVMs, it's the specification development. So to have a solid specification based on what's out there currently. So we kind of go out for an RFP that we're not kind of just very broad. We want to get it as specific as we can. But there's going to be workshops with stakeholders at GCRTA, both internal, external. They're going to develop at that specification. There'll be several reviews. And then they're going to develop an independent cost estimate as well, so we can kind of know what we're reasonably going to pay for that specified equipment. Option 1 is the solicitation phase. So once we go out, we have a sophisticated procurement department. We go out, do a solicitation. They're going to provide that subject matter expert for the review of those proposals, assist in answering any questions that vendors may have in the solicitation process, but heavily review of those proposals from a subject matter expert standpoint. Then that option 2 is, after we actually select a vendor, it's that installation phase. It's that subject matter expert We have a lot of in-house knowledge, but having somebody that specializes specifically in this industry and has done, I think the project manager on this has installed over 11,000 machines, so he's got over 30 years of experience, which we have a lot of in-house experience, but that'll just be tremendous to make sure it goes as smoothly as possible. So.
Oh, and just the one piece I would add is the base contract we're paying for, we're going to get that. The option 1 or 2 were us trying to think ahead so that as we go through the process, if we need to call somebody on the phone that's not us, that has an eye, we can exercise it as needed. Same thing for option 2. So we wanted to have that longevity so that as we move through, the people who help design it are also the people that are helping check on it. So it's just another set of eyes, and it's only as needed so that we're not committing to the full amount if we don't need it.
Thank you for the presentation. Could you clarify what the relationship is between these ticket vending machines and like digital readers? So like how are we are they different? Are they the same? How are they going to work with our existing systems? I'm missing that piece a little bit.
Ooh, I like pictures. So the ticket vending machines themselves are just literally how you're going to get the ticket. And so in our case, we moved to a smart card, and there's many different kinds, et cetera. The machine is going to give you that smart card or QR code or whatever it's going to be based on the specifications. Then you would move to the fare box or the Just Ride validator to pay for it. So that's where we get scanned, and you'd be able to get on the bus, the vehicle, the paratransit, the rail, et cetera. So the machines get you the fare media, and then you use it in the network. If you use the mobile app, you wouldn't go to a vending machine because you're buying your ticket and you have it on your phone. So that's to allow people also to use various payment methods, have the ticket to ride, and then go and engage in our system. Did that?
So just to follow up, this is separate from the validators that we've talked about before, where there's still some updating happening with those. And
yeah, so on my left, the Just Ride validators are the validators you're talking about with a QR code or eventually having a tap to get on the bus, that kind of stuff. That's just, do you have the right to access? These are the vending machines that we call them customer service kiosks and TVMs, and they're throughout throughout the network to get you the fare media. Yeah, please.
And part of this contract's importance too is those systems have to work together, so that integration is key. We utilize Masabi through the Easy Fare system for our mobile ticketing app, but those back offices have to talk together. So part of that specification and that subject matter expert, just kind of that oversight of the vendor we go with, it's critical that we keep those systems working together. So.
Thank you. I think that's a very good point that needed to be articulated, because if I'm just sitting at home looking at it, I'm like, hey, isn't there an industry standard for ticket vending machines? Why do we have to develop a set of specification? Well, it's really not about the machine. It's about the relationship with the machine with all our current and potential future software. Is that an accurate statement? The integration of all the systems.
A very accurate statement. I mean, we're buying a box, but that box is very critical to work with all the other stuff in our system.
Any follow-up questions? Mayor first.
I just may have missed it in the presentation. What's the total number of the machines?
So I do not know if it's in the presentation. I want to say 118 is what I got from internal audit.
And we'll likely, that number could change. We most likely won't purchase as many ticket vending machines. It'll be kind of an analysis of what we need where.
Ms. Elder, you had a question?
Yeah. So thank you for clarifying how the machines themselves are going to work with our other infrastructure that's already in place. But just a clarifying question for the Just Ride validators. I know that currently those are used for the the mobile ticketing app, and you scan the QR code. But going forward, will there be an option to do Apple Pay or any other payment through cell phone directly, as opposed to going through the app?
So it's outside of the scope of this particular procurement.
Okay.
But in general, I know that we want to leverage the validators in as many ways as possible to meet those policy and planning initiatives for innovative customer payment and movement. And the Apple Pay, the GPay, the term I've learned is open payment, you'll hear thrown around in the transit industry. So the idea is, can we leverage what we have been installing and then mix it with the vending machines and the back offices so that it is that ecosystem and it's all talking and our customers can just ride.
I'm going to, if I can't, thank you, Jonathan. I think that was an accurate response. I'm going to actually ask Doc and Tony to just come up for a second. If there's additional information, if you can see, we're all kind of staring holes in each other's head because we all want to jump in at the same time. We've had a lot of conversations about the transition of the platforms from where we are now, if you think paper to digital, right, over time. I just want to set the stage as well that you'll start to hear about this quite a bit. Especially over the next 6 months or so as we start to engage these third-party consultants, so to speak, to help us through the process. But Doc, if you want to go ahead and speak a little bit to that transition and what they may have to come, and then Tony, if you want to chime in as well.
Good morning, Chair Biassiata, members of the board, members of the committee. My name is Flance Caver, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at the Greater Cleveland RTA. As we are navigating fair policy and fair technology, we are coming to it at a stage where our hardware and software has occurred in different eras. The base to our system is the registering cash box on the vehicle, and it has a fair vendor company. We've modernized, so that's the fare box there. We've modernized to be able to use the mobile app as a mechanism, and that came with another vendor. That vendor was Masabi. Our TVMs were a different vendor, and they've all come in different eras. And so where we're at, as we look at the way that customers pay, so in the retail industry, if we think about Amazon, who's created all of these myriad of ways to the point where now you may just have one click and or things will automatically come to you. The way that customers pay is an imperative component to growing business. And we are looking at how do we begin to integrate those so that you can pay the easiest. The easiest way is tap and go with your cell phone now. And so while we may not have all of the systems right now to be able to allow a tap and go with your Apple Pay, we'll just use that brand, we are looking at ways that as these software companies that we have integrate those, we'll integrate those into the way that customers can pay. And so for those of us who have iPhones, there is a component of it that has the transit pass payment, right? You'll see that. But at this time, we don't have it because our vendors don't have that as a mechanism for the payment. But we want to have, as these gentlemen said, software that's in an open platform so that when those things become available, we're able to use those and migrate the system. At some point, the most modern way will be without cash. But I do want to say to this board and to our community, with our community, we will never be a system without cash. And so the base to it means I got to keep that fare box there, which means it's going to limit some of the upside of what we can do.
Mr. Sleesman, did you have a question?
Do we have a rough guess for, I mean, we haven't done the specifications or the RFP, so I get that we won't have any real numbers here, but do we have a rough guess for how much each one of these machines costs or could cost?
So he said 10 to 26,000.
Right.
And so to give you, also to provide a bit of history for those. So we used the ticket vending machines, and they were purchased when we went to the off-board payment system on the Euclid corridor, the Health Line. And surely at that time, it was sort of the dominant way that payments were going to go. So payments were going to move at that time to off-board payment and slide in your ticket through the fare box. And where we are now, and the reason that it's not just so simple of it, just go buy another TVM, is that we see that the validator component, which means that the customer brings their own hardware. So instead of us having, these banks and banks of TVMs, there are these components where the customer is going to have their phone, and their phone becomes the hardware, and they're going to tap and go. And so as that technology is moving forward, take your experience when you go to New York City, and there's just a wall of payment machines that everyone who's not from New York is afraid to go to. How do we make that easy, and how do we make that convenient? And so we want to find the appropriate system, because we don't want an archaic system that is just a really costly way to collect cash to give you a plastic thing. And so we're looking at how that's going to be best situated in the future of payment of systems.
Follow-up questions, anyone?
So the reason I asked that question is because I kind of, at 26,000, perhaps 26,000 a pop, and we have over 100 of these things, I'm kind of viewing this contract as an insurance policy to make sure that we get ticket vending machines that are not challenging to use, and preferably with a vendor that is not challenging to work with, which I've been around long enough to know that that's not the experience generally that we've had with either these ticket vending machines or the current situation. And so to that extent, I actually the entire basis of my question was to say I appreciate this, because I have used the health line a lot, and I've used these ticket vending machines a lot, and they are rough. They're complicated and confusing, and I've watched people be very lost in trying to use them, especially if they are limited in sight or language ability. And to avoid anything even resembling that experience, I view this as a discounted insurance policy, frankly.
And thank you. And we want to provide the appropriate system that allows us the future access of payments. So you're correct in that analogy.
Ms. McPherson, did you have a comment? Or did I misread your body language? I apologize. Any further questions or comments from the board? Ms. Birdsong-Terry?
Thank you. Just wanted to piggyback and say I share in Mr. Sleesman's experience in different systems as well as some of our own, to be able to think about having an opportunity to redesign some of the customer experience. This goes into what we kind of come to you with every quarter, right? Talking about how easy is it for a customer, whether they're from Cleveland or not, to actually ride our system. The vendor that we are proposing today has a lot of experience. Sometimes that does not translate into ease of use, and so I appreciate that as well. Having gone through this process in other systems, it can take quite a while, and it is a daunting task to be able to reconfigure the experience, because inevitably you forget someone. And so I think being able to have the consultant help us through that process is an added benefit, where we can kind of step away, in a matter of speaking, from some of the technicality of the issue and really get into the nitty-gritty of the customer experience. So I know that our teams are working through the process, but I would recommend as well that when the time is right, we roll that out to certain committees as well, to make sure that we have, the actual user go in and make sure that we haven't missed anything as well. So we'll include that in our process to make sure that we're not skipping any steps. But I will say that this does not come around very often as well. Usually as a generational or half of a generation to be able to do this kind of project. The amount of money is not small, but I think it will prove dividends going forward, where folks will understand that we're trying to make this an inclusive process for the equity standpoint. And I personally am not okay with us doing it on our own. So we've had several conversations about whether or not and when we need help, this is a situation when we need to make sure we have that extra guardrail there.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second, Pichetti.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion's carried. Have a good day. Any new business for this committee at this time? Hearing none, I move to adjourn at 9:31.
I don't know if this is new business, but I'm very glad to be sitting here today.
Reverend, want to give us an update? You've been on vacation.
I was on a major
all-inclusive bed, meals.
I want to personally thank India for such a wonderful gardening that she did while I was away. and to Nick and to Dr. Caver and to Teresa and to all of you, because as you know, I was in a major situation, but the good Lord wasn't ready for me yet, and I was delighted to that. So I'm back and I'm healing still, but I wanted to be here this morning just to let you know how much I appreciate what you've done to make me be able to go through the trauma of a car crash, be able to go through a major health situation, and be in the internal in the 4 or 5 days in the hospital in Washington, and then brought me into Cleveland Clinic. So here I am. Hallelujah.
Amen. Welcome back. Any discussion on Reverend joining us? We're all. I think I just speak on behalf. Your presence and friendship's greatly appreciated by all of us, and we're so happy you're here today. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn at 9:32. Do I have a second? Second to adjourn from my
Second,
committee.
McPherson.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned. Have a good day, everyone.